Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Couldn't remember what day it was there for a moment. And a puzzle that's been generating all sorts of noise in the puzzling community of late. In fact, before I tell you about that, I need to clean my glasses, believe it or not. I can't see anything, and that is not going to help me to solve the Sudoku. So apologies for this. You get to see Simon rather than SudokuMan for a moment. Let me just clean my glasses. Might have to stop the video. No, I can see, look, and I'm that SudokuMan back again. Right, where was I? This is an arrow Sudoku, and it's by Abed Hawila. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's Abed's debut on the channel, assuming I can solve this puzzle, and I say that because it has 5 stars out of 5 for difficulty over on Logic Masters Germany, which means it's probably monstrously difficult. But the comments on this puzzle are out of this world. Apparently this is a stunner. So I'll read you the rules in just a second. Before we kick off, just do check out Patreon at the moment. We've got so much stuff going on over there. Mark has solved a recent Matt Gaffney American crossword of all things, which is a fun video to watch. And then we've got the second half of our interview with Tantan Dai, in which she solves Glum Hippo's average arrows puzzle. And then we've got Scott Strosal's Sudoku Challenge, which is a fantastic set of 3 puzzles, very hard, and lots of you are still managing to get through it, which is tremendously impressive. And of course, end of February, we have for our March reward on Patreon, a new Sudoku puzzle hunt of all things. And that's in testing at the moment. The reports are good, so it's all looking fine. So yeah, check out Patreon. We do try and make it very interesting over there. Now, the rules of Abed's puzzle, let me read them to you. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Good. The digits on the arrow path add to the digit in the circled cell. And digits can repeat on the arrow if allowed by the other rules. So, let's have a look and see what we can make of this. Let's look at this arrow. We've got those 4 cells, whatever they add up to, we put in the circle. And we can repeat digits along this, so if we, so we could do something like that. In fact, we could have 2 repeated digits because this doesn't break the rules of Sudoku. These 2's are not in the same box, row or column. And indeed, that only adds up to 6. So we could actually put a 6 in there and this would be completely fine. So that's what we have to do. That's all we have to do. Sounds simple, doesn't it? I somehow doubt it. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video. I'm luxuriating in the fact I can see, and let's get cracking. And yeah, we can bask in the luxury today of 4-cell arrows. Now my phone's ringing. Oh, good grief, everything's going wrong. Let me turn my phone off. Right, that's better. 4-cell arrows, yeah, there are 2 of them. That one and this one. So we shall start here because that means, in fact, this one is better because look, what can we put as a minimum into those 3 squares in the same box of the Sudoku? Well, they've got to be at least 1, 2, and 3, which means we're already up to 6 before we add in this square. If we make that a 1, we still get to 7. So this is 7, 8, or 9. Now this one I've just done in the example. This one is less potent because these dominoes are not, well, they're dominoes rather than triominos, aren't they? Or trominos or triminos or whatever you call them. So these can be 1, 2, 1, 2. So this is actually a little bit less restricted. This has got to be 6, 7, 8 or 9. We've got scissors. We've got 2 scissors. But the big scissors, I think, are going to be more interesting than the little scissors because they have 3 cells in the same row. So each scissor blade here has a minimum value of 6 again. So let's just delete that. We can put 6, 7, 8, 9 in there, 6, 7, 8, 9 in here. Now obviously these can't both be 1, 2 and 3 because that will put double 6 in there. But I don't think that really tells us anything, to be honest. You could probably even have 6 and 7 into those 2 squares without breaking the rules, because if you had something like that, yeah, we've only got a pair of 1s and 2s in each box. You'd end up with a 1 and a No, would you? No, you wouldn't. No, I don't know what you'd end up with. I was wondering whether I could use some sort of X-wing weirdity to come up with something down there, but it was nonsense what I was thinking. So ignore that. Ignore this. This is totally nonsense. All we can say is this is 6, 7s, 8s and 9s in this domino. Which means that... What does it mean? All of the other arrows are 2 cells, I think, even the scissors. So this suddenly gets very... Hang on. It gets very difficult. Even though I got these lovely 4-cell arrows and scissors, it appears it is not my birthday. Yeah, it really isn't actually. That's tricky. There's no knight's move constraint in this puzzle. No, there is no knight's move constraint. So we have to... So there must be something about this that I'm not appreciating. Apologies if you're spotting it. No, I mean, all you can say about this is there's no 6 on the arrow. If we try and put 6, we'd reach 10 with the other 3 digits. This is very... This one? Oh, right, hang on a moment. There is an interdependence, isn't there? Right, I've just noticed something. Row 3 and row 2, I've got lots of cells on arrows. So when I said this could be 1, 2 and 3, that was wrong, actually. Well, it wasn't wrong so far as this arrow is concerned. It's wrong because that would put 4, 5 onto this arrow, which would require double 0 into those squares, which is most certainly not going to work. Right, yeah, here we go. Okay, so there is... Actually, these 3 arrows need to be considered together because these share a row. So the minimum value I can make these cells would be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That's 15. And the minimum I can make these would be 1, 2, 3 and 4, which is 10. So that's 25 is actually the minimum. I can put... got it. Okay. So if these yellow squares are 25, and we've still got to cater for this square, well, could I put anything other than 1 in this yellow square? Let's try and put 2 in there. Now, we know the minimum value of these squares altogether is 27. Which, given that there are 3 circles, means each circle would have to contain a 9. That will most certainly lead to that in box 1, which is most certainly broken. So, this is good news because it means that this has to... We actually get a digit here. This is 1. We now know these have to add up to 26, which means these 3 squares have to be 2 9s and an 8. Which means that has to be 9, because I can't put double 9 here. And these 2 squares are an 8-9 pair. And we have digits and everything. These 3 squares add up to 8, therefore. Which means there must be a 1 in this triple here. It's either 1, 2, 5 or 1, 3, 4. There's no 1 in those cells. But we know there's a 1 in one of these squares now. We can see that in 2 ways. The easiest way is by Sudoku. That 1 is locking a 1 into one of those 4 cells. Now, what does that mean? That means that... well, there's an interesting thing. I don't think we can use it, but there's an interesting point around, yeah, these totals here. Only one of these arrows, only one of these 3-cell arrows can contain a 1 now, because whichever one we put the 1 on in here, the arrow tips can't be a 1 in box 2. So if we made that square a 1, you now can't put a 1 here. So you can see that what happens to the other arrow, if it hasn't got a 1 on it, it would have to be 2, 3 and 4, and it would have to add to 9. So whichever of these arrows is 9 is a 2, 3, 4 arrow. I don't think I can use that. I might be wrong. I think that just goes into the pot of sort of weirdnesses that we've noticed that haven't been useful. No, I don't know. Okay, so what else are we going to have to do now? One thing I think we will have to do is to sweat every deduction in this puzzle, because there is still, even though I've got pencil marks in, there is not much information. 8s and 9s in box 4 are interesting to me, because I certainly can't put 9 on an arrow. So 9 is in this domino here. Can you put 8 on an arrow? No, you can't. That's beautiful, actually. That's beautiful in that it almost follows from the logic on the 9. Once you notice the 9 has to be in here, and the 9 does have to be in here, because if we put 9 on the arrow, what are we going to put in this square to keep this to a single digit total? Well, I can't put anything in, it won't work. So the 9 is definitely here. Now look, the 9 is now looking at both of these circles. So neither of these circles can contain a 9. So how could I ever put 8 now on the arrows? Because I will have to put 8 and 0 in to equal 8, and that won't work either. So 8 and 9 are a pair in box 4. Now can I do something similar down here then? Because no, I don't think I can actually. So one of these 8s and 9s will be paired up with one of these. So there's going to have to be an 8, 9 in one of those and an 8, 9 in one of these. I don't think we know which way round they go or where they go. Get rid of the 9 pencil mark there to make me feel like I'm making progress with alacrity. All I'm really doing is buying myself time, I know. Okay, 1 actually, look, this 1 is affecting the 4 cell arrow, because now this domino in it can't contain a 1. This is interesting. This square therefore has to be a minimum of 2 plus 3 here, that's 5, and 1 plus 2 here, that's 8 altogether. So this square can't be 6 or 7 anymore. 8, 9 pair in column 3. Now hang on, let's think about this. So we've got 1 degree of freedom on this whole arrow now. So there must be a 2 in this domino, because if not, this takes a value of 7, and 7 plus 3 is 10. So there must be a 2 in here, along with, it's possible it's with a 4 rather than a 3. And there must be a 1 in here by exactly the same logic. But that could be with a 3 rather than a 2. So okay, that's very interesting. Actually, that is very interesting. Because now, whatever this is, where does it go in box 8? Oh no, it could go here, could it? And then bounce back over here if there's a... Oh, that's horrible. No. Oh, it could. If it was 8 and it went here and there was a 1 here, then that could be 9. Oh, sorry. I thought I was going to be able to get that this was in here, but I don't think I can. Because there's no 1 on this arrow. In fact, this arrow can't have a 1 or a 2 on it. So the minimum value of this, oh, this is interesting. Sorry, this puzzle is cool. Now I've got 3, 4 as the minimum on this arrow, but I can't put 3, 4 on the arrow because that will break this. That will put 2 into both of those squares. So this must be at least 3, 5, which is 8, which means this circle is an 8, 9, which means this is an 8, 9. Now hang on, let's just go through the options for this then. This, it can't be 3, 4, so it could be 3, 5, could be 3, 6 to make 9, or it could be 4, 5 to make 9. Oh, okay, so it's not actually splendid. It's got several possibilities. Okay, what does that mean? Oh, I know what it means. I've got an 8, 9 thing going on in the world. Yes, look at where 8, well, the less beautiful way of asking this question is to say where do 8s and 9s go in column 6, and you can see they can't go in those 2 squares, so they have to go here. The way I just got this though was not like that. I did it in a more, well, a way I prefer, which is noting that these 2x2s in boxes 5 and 8 have to contain the digits 8 and 9 somewhere within them, and therefore you can see that that gets you, that exposes this hidden pair in column 6, because neither of those squares can be 8 or 9. Now I know it would be much easier to note that just by looking at these squares and going they can't contain 8 and 9, but that's not the way my brain works. Oh, okay, so now we can say 8 must be at the top there. Now 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is now in one of those 2 squares in column 6. No, it's not. 5 could be here. 7 is in one of those 2 squares in column 6. Not sure what that means. We can, sorry about this, I'm a bit stuck. Can we do, it feels like I must have to use, I think I'm missing some implication of the 8s and the 9s or the 1s. Those feel like they're the digits that I've got the most sort of traction on. Maybe 8s and 9s in this box down here, so this can't be an 8 or 9 now. Yeah, okay, yeah, hang on. If you try and put, you can never put 9 down here. So where's 9 in? 9 could be here and 9 could be there. But 8, you can't put 8 in this domino, because if you do, you'll put 9 in its circle, and you'd have an 8, a 9, and an 8 and 9 in the box. So I think these 3 squares have to contain the 8 and the 9 in box 7 here. I don't really have a very good way of even notating that though. Four, 7. Here's something. Here's something with 1s. I like this. Right, okay, I'm not sure if it does anything, but it's interesting, so I'm going to tell you. Ones. Is it possible that the 1 in box 4 goes on the left-hand side and doesn't go on the arrows? The answer is no. Let me show you why. If there's a 1 here, these squares now, the minimum I could make these squares would be 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now 2, 3, 4 and 5 add up to 14. So how on earth are we going to make these add up to 14, or these add up to 14 I should say at least, given the options we can't put 8 or 9 in either circle. Now there's only one thing that works, and that's double 7. And double 7 at first blush looks interesting, except look what it does to box 4. You can't put 7 in the box anymore. So you can't make these double 7. And if you can't make them double 7 and they have to add up to 14, you're going to need to put an 8 or a 9 in one of them, and you can't. So this is a very long-winded way of saying that 1 has to be in one of those squares, and I appreciate that's probably not the most important deduction we've ever revealed on Cracking the Cryptic, but it does mean there's a 1 down there, look. Now that might be important. Why? I have no idea. In fact, it's a bit difficult to see how that... What's that doing? It's locking 1 out of those cells. Oh, no, actually that is interesting. Good grief. Right, 8, 9. Where do the 8 and the 9 go in box 8? Well, 9 we could have said immediately can't be on an arrow tip, so 9 was always in one of these two. But now 8 can't be on an arrow tip either, because if 8 is on an arrow tip, it has to have a partner here that's not a 1. So if it's 2 plus 8, it adds to 10, and that will break the circle. So 8 and 9 are a pair in this box, which means they're a pair in this box. I'm almost wondering whether I need to colour. I know I do a lot of colouring, but I am wondering whether I should colour the 8s and 9s. Am I going to get in it? I get a lot from it if there was a knight's move constraint, because then I could... But there isn't a knight's move constraint. I would know those 3 were the same. And that one was the same. Anyway, there isn't a knight's move constraint, so let's get off that subject. Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing I can ask. Where does 1 go in box 5? This 1 here means it's not there. It's not ever in the circle because I can't make these add up to 1. So 1 is in one of those squares, and that means that is a 1. And that means this square is a 2 or a 3. Do anything with this? You can repeat digits on the arrow though, so tempting as it is to say if that's a 2, that it's just... I don't know. Okay, so where else should we look? Sorry, this has been available for a while. Where does 6 and 7 go in box 1? Well, the answer is up there. And that means we can ask where does 6 and 7 go in box 2? There. And that means we ask where it goes in box 5? There. And that... No. That might mean something over here, but I'm not sure I know what it is. Does it mean anything down here? 6, 7... So the 7 is in one of those two places. If 7 is on the arrow down here, oh, you could still partner it up with a 2. 7, 2, 9. That might be okay. There's a lot to keep track of. Actually, I tell you what I feel like. I feel like I'm trying to hold wet soap at the moment when I'm trying to do this puzzle. It keeps I keep trying to clutch it and it slips out of my hands. I don't have a very good, normally, well, not normally, but quite often with puzzles I have a feeling for where I should be looking. This puzzle, not so much. I've got a horrible feeling I should be able to disambiguate these 8s and 9s. How long have I had? 26 minutes. That's not too bad. At least I've got some digits in the grid. Gone are the days when if a video was over 26 minutes we felt we'd gone on for a bit long. 7, 3, 3. Oh, right, I've got something. Right, this cell is interesting. This cell cannot be a 3, because if it's a 3, what happens to both of these totals? Well, if this is a 3, you can see this total now has a minimum value of 4 plus 5, which is 9. So you get a 9 here. But the moment this is a 3, we know that this arrow is also adding up to 9, because we only had 1 degree of freedom on it. So that will be a 2, 3, this will be 1, 3, that will be a 9. That won't work. So that's been sitting there for a few minutes. That should be a 2. That's the world's most useless 2, isn't it? It's not done anything. I don't believe it. I genuinely don't believe it. Does that not do anything? You rotten thing. Oh, no, maybe I can do something with that, actually. Can I do something with the totals of the arrows? 13, 14. I can. Oh, yes, I can. Right. No, this 2, it's been... Well, I'm giving it a reprieve, actually. I just didn't spot what it did. But now I think I have. We've got an 8-9 pair here, so that's 17. We know that these arrows add up to 17. But we know that this is a knowledge bomb. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So these cells must add up to 14. And you can see we can't put a 1 in any of those cells. We've already looked at this once, I think, in those squares. How do you make 14 with 4 cells if one of them can't be a 1? 2, 3, 4, and 5, not 6. There is no 6 in this domino. That means what? That means there definitely is a 5 in this domino, because we're trying to get to 8 or 9, and 3 and 4 would not be enough. Oh, and it means, look, if we look at column 6, this cell is a 6 or a 7. I'm certain that this is disambiguated now. Oh, come on. 2, 3, 4. 5, 5, 5, look, in box 5 has to be in column 5. So we've got 5s in these positions. So 5 must be in one of those positions. Now in this box as well, we've now, yeah, that's interesting. We've got to put a 6 or a 7 on one of these arrow tips. Oh, so that will probably go with whatever this isn't from 8 and 9. Hang on a moment, let me think about this. Oh, yeah, okay. Look, we can do this rigorously, I think. There's an 8-9 pair here and then an 8-9 pair here. So, yeah, in fact, I did this earlier. I just didn't know how to pencil mark it. I know that one of these two squares is an 8 or a 9. I just don't know how to record that. These is a 6 or a 7. The 5 is over there. So these squares are from 3. Whoopsie. These squares are from 3, 4, and 6. Oh, goodness. I didn't want to do that. I just want to put 3, 4, and 6 into these squares. Or 7. 3, 4, 6, and 7. You can't put a 7 in these squares now, actually. Actually, that's interesting. That is beautiful. That's beautiful. If you can't put 7 in this domino, and you can't because you can see the minimum I could pair it with is a 3, and that's so 7 plus 3 is going to be 10. Where do you put 7 in this column? You can't put it in this domino because that square will not have a value. Once we add 7 to 1, we're going to get at least 8. So 7 in column 3 goes here. So let's remove the pencil mark. And right, now we can keep going with this. 7 is not in these 3 squares. Is 7 on this arrow? No, because 7, again, 7 plus 1 is at least 8. And there's the 8 and the 9 in row 7 rule an 8 or a 9 out from this circle square. So 7 is on the left-hand side of box 4, and therefore 7 is down in one of those squares in box 7. So now, what does that mean? I am baffled. Oh, sorry about this. I'm sure that there is some restriction. I just don't understand what it is. I feel like 6s, 7s, 8s and 9s in this whole region of the grid are completely jammed up. And it's disturbing me that I can't record the fact that I know that one of these squares is an 8 or a 9. In fact, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to colour it. That's going to get me out of trouble. So this square and this square are the same. Therefore, this is different. Now, I think I've proved, haven't I? This is going to be green. There's going to be a green and a purple here. So, yeah, by Sudoku, one of those is green. At least that will now remind me that I've got an 8 or a 9 in one of those cells. So, feels like... So one of these two squares, I keep coming back to this as well, one of these two squares is high. It's at least 6. Okay. So now we know for sure that whichever one of these is high, it will definitely pair up with an 8 or a 9 in one of these cells. There's an interesting thought, therefore. Yeah, I've got something good, I think. So, whichever one of these is 6 or 7, let's make it this one, just for the sake of argument. If this is a 6, we know that this square cannot be a 1, so it's a 2 or a 3. and we know that the counterpart to this square and the circle will be the green square. It will be 8 or 9. But this means it's never possible for there to be a 6 in this domino, in this box. Because if there is a 6 in this domino in this box, it will have to go here, and its partner will be too high. And look, because it's going to make this, if this is a 3, this square is also a 8 or a 9, and we have 3 squares in the box that are 8 or 9. Now I think this is interesting because I notice these 6s up here. So if I can't put 6 here, I know the 6 is in one of those 4 squares, or actually it could be in here as well perhaps, but it doesn't matter, it can't be in here. And it pairs up with those, and that forces a 6 into this domino. Now if a 6 is in this domino, suddenly we understand what's going on. This can't be a 6 as well. So this must in fact be 1 6. There's no 1 in there, and this is a 7. And therefore this is a 6. This is a 7. This is not a 7. And we get some more digits. 7 is not there anymore. 7 is in with my green one. So these are a 7 green pair, which means that they can only be selected from the digits 7, 8 and 9. So we know whichever one of these is 6 goes with the 8 or the 9. And then we know the other... so you can't put 2. Yeah, if whichever one of these is 6 goes with a digit here, which is not 1, it's 2 or 3, to make 8 or 9, the other one must add up. This must be a 7, and the only option for this square is a 3 or a 4. So this will be a 3 or a 4. So these squares here, let's go back because we don't know which of these is 6, but we do know these squares are selected from 2, 3 and 4. Oh, so that does mean you can put 2 in there. I thought I couldn't for a moment. Because I was thinking about the 3 and the 4. The 3 and the 4 pair is true. You can't put a 2 in the 3, 4 pair, but you can still put a 2 with the 6 to make 8 on the other arrow. Bobbins. Oh, not bobbins, not bobbins. If this is 2, 3 and 4, I've got 1 here. So I can remove 1 from those squares. I can remove the 1 pencil mark. I got a 2, 3, 4 triple in column 3, which means this square is a 5, which means this square is a 5. I remove 5 from that cell. And now we know that this is the 8, because we know that the 9 has to be 2, 3 and 4, and whichever arrow has a 5 on it does not have a 2, 3 and a 4 on it. So I think this arrow, let's just check the logic there, because it was a while ago that I did that. It was because you can only put 1, 1 on these 2 arrows. That was it. So one of the arrows doesn't have a 1 on it, so it must be 2, 3 and 4 and add to 9. So that must be this one. So this is not 1. This is the only place the 1 can go. That will be 2, this will be 8, this will be 9. 9 and 8 go in. That's not 2 anymore. This is a 1 by Sudoku. No, we can't put 2 in here. We can't put 5 in those squares. These become a 3, 4 pair. This becomes a 6 or a 7. This is a 3 or a 4. Okay. Now what do we do? We can That felt like good progress, but unfortunately it's not finished the puzzle by any manner or means, has it? I did disambiguate some of these 8s and 9s though, which was exciting. This arrow now can't have 1 on it, and if it didn't have 2 on it, this would add to 3 plus 4 at least, which would make the circle 7, 8 or 9, which it can, and it can't be those digits. So this has a 2 on it, which means that's not a 2, which means this is a 2. And that means those squares become a 3, 4 pair. Now what does that mean? That means whichever one of these is the 6 must go with a 3. So the option of 8 in this domino has been removed. Wow. So this is 8, this is 9. These two squares now have to be 4, 5. So we remove the 4 from up here, and that is making 8. Okay, that's nice. 2s are aligning in boxes 4 and 5. So 2 in row 4, look, can't go there, can't go there. It's got to go in one of these 3 cells. 4, 5 means these two squares have become 3 and 6. Which means this square's become a 4, that's become a 3. That fixes this arrow of all. This is just bizarre. I mean, it's so clever. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It really is ridiculous. But this arrow now can't be 2, 3. Now, it can't be bigger than 2, 4 because that's going to make that 7, 8 or 9 again. So it must be 2, 4. And this must be 6, I think. And that means that's 6 and that's 4. And these 3 squares are now 3, 5 and 7. And that's not 7. And these 2 squares are 1 and 2. And that square is now 5 by Sudoku. And these squares are 3 and 4 by Sudoku. We've got a 3, 4 pair in column 9. And this is the first point at which I've thought I might crack this puzzle actually. This 4 fixes the 3 up here. We've got a 2, 8 pair in box 3. Those cells are known. They are 1, 4 and 5. And so let's just take stock now. Oh, this 8's fixing the 8 and the 9 here. Yes, let's take stock. That's good. Ah, now you can never put 9 on an arrow, so this square can't be a 9. So where do you put the 9 in box 6? It can't go in those cells, it's got to go here. That might be... No, we've still got... Oh no, we've still got several 9s to deal with. Bobbins. Well, actually no, I can deal with those two. Not sure about these two though. 8 now has to go in one of those 3 squares. Well, we can't put 8 on the arrow, so 8's definitely in this domino. 3, 5, 6, 7. These are from 5, 6 and 7. So probably what we need to do now is to look at the other arrows, isn't it? So we've got this arrow and this arrow that I've never looked at once. Let me just check the other arrows and just make sure that there's nothing, at least nothing obvious we can do. I can't see it. Okay, so let's look at this arrow. This is 5, 6 or 7. So this square has to be, well, by Sudoku it's got to be 2, 3, 4 or 5, I think. It can't be 6, 7, 8, 9 or 1. It's not the most magnificent restriction, is it? This cell... Okay, so this cell can't be bigger than 5 then. Because if it's any larger than 5, once we add it to 2, we will get to a too high a total. So this is... It can't be 2, so it's 1, 3, 4, or 5. Ah, and it can't be 3 and 4 because we've got 3 and 4 in the column. So this square is restricted. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, this can't be 5. Why can't this be 5? Well, if it's 5, where are you going to put a 5 in box 3? If that's 5, you can't put 5 in the arrow circle because this is a positive integer. And you can't put 5 there by Sudoku. There's nowhere left for 5. So this is 1, which is rather nice. That means we get 1 in one of those two cells. We get 1 over here as well. 1 and 6. 6 is in one of those two squares. 1 now in the central box has to be there. We get a 4, 5 pair. 4 now has to be up here somewhere. This square has been restricted by this being a 1 because this can't be a 2 or a 3 anymore because we won't get to 5, 6 or 7. So this is 4 or 5. It's not 2. So 2 is also now aligning in columns 7 and 9. Where's 2 go in column 8? It can't go in those 6 cells. It's not here, so 2 is in one of those two squares. Oh, and you can see immediately, if 2 is not on the arrow here, there is a big problem with this arrow. Because it can't contain 1, if the 2 was there, it couldn't contain 1, 2, 3 or 4. It would have to be 5, 6 minimum, which will make this square a double-digit number. So that won't work. The 2 must be on the arrow. The 2 therefore fixes that 2. That gives us a 1 here by Sudoku. This square can't be 1, 2, 3 or 4. So it's 5 or 6 only because it can't be 7 because that would put a 9 in the circle. So this is 5 or 6. This is 7 or 8. Seven, 8. Yeah, 7, 8, 9 triple in row 8. So this square now might be restricted. This can be... Oh, yeah, this square is very restricted because 1, 2, 3, 4 are seen in its box. 7, 8, 9 in its row. So this is 5 or 6. 5 or 6 pair in the box. So this is 7 or 8. And we're closing in, I think. Shouldn't have said that. That's completely crazy. We've got 5. This arrow maybe. Oh, come on. This arrow can't have a 7 here because this can't be high enough. 6, 7. 6, 7. 5, 6 pair now in column 7. Oh, that so there's no 6 there then anymore. That's got to be 6. This 6 fixes a 7 up here. That fixes the 7 and the 6 over there as well. That does nothing. But the 7 sees that cell, and that might get us into the bottom of the grid. 8 and 7 go in, and it gets this arrow done. Yeah, this is nice now. This is nice. Now this arrow gets done as well. That finishes this. This 5, I think we might be finished. 5, 4, 4, whoops, 4, 3, 3, 6. Don't go too fast, Simon. 6, 7, 9 is done. The 9 and the 8 get done. Let's check these arrows. Yeah, that's adding to 9. That's adding to 7. That's adding to 9. That's adding to 7. This square's a right in. The 8 must go there. This must be a 5. The 5 fixes the 5 and the 4. The 4 and the 2. The 2 and the 3. This 4 fixes the 4 and the 3 at the top. This 8 fixes the 8 and the 2. We've got to put a 2 in box 6. These two squares are a 3, 5 pair. There's a 5 on that one. So 3, 5 go in. I need a 7 in this row. Yeah, this looks good. 3, 7, and I need a 7 here. And I think that is how to solve Abed's puzzle. That is, yes, that is a beautiful puzzle, but my goodness, is that difficult. Yeah, what did I say? It's like trying to get hold of wet soap, because I found that really difficult to get a handle on. And there are lots of very, very clever things about it. So let's just take an index of the cleverness. The first cleverness was this, which gave us the 9s and the 8s. That was lovely. And then there was something about the 1s that was important, wasn't there? So you couldn't put a 1 in here, because that would put double 7 in there. That was gorgeous. And then there was all the 8s and 9 stuff. Oh, this square being a 2 or a 3, and not being able to be a 3 was lovely. These squares having to add to 14 was lovely. All this stuff down here was really just very difficult, trying to get my head around where 6s and 7s go and how they could pair up with. I think I was not helped by not thinking about colouring this pair in for a long time. I found that I don't think I did that very cleanly at all. I mean, I did it logically, I think, but it seemed to take me ages. And then I can't remember quite what was the straw that broke the camel's back, but eventually the camel did get broken, and we were able to finish the puzzle. Very, very clever indeed. Let me know in the comments how you get on. I do read them. I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.